Good morning, everybody. Uneducated Economist here. Got an article I want to share with you guys. The link is down in the description, talking about the lumber industry. It was sent to me last night from a buddy of mine. I read it this morning, and man, does it not go right in line with everything that I have been saying as far as the lumber industry goes. Everybody was screaming price inflation, dollar destruction, and they were pointing at lumber as a reasonable evidence of it. And I said, nope, not this time. You can point at a lot of things, but you can't point at lumber and say that this is dollar destruction, that this is dollar inflation taking place, because it was a total supply chain breakdown. It was something that I was talking about prior to COVID, towards the end of 2019. I don't kind of jump here a little bit. Prior to 2019, I was putting out videos talking about mill shutdowns, curtailments, OSB, curtailments taking place. I think it was like 1 billion square feet of OSB was going to come off the market. And then COVID hit, and then there was even more inventory depletion. So there was a complete breakdown of inventory when it came to building supplies. And over the course of the last year, it has been a rebuild of this inventory supply. It has been very difficult. It is not easy to do. Lumber doesn't transfer from on a UPS truck, you have to have rail, you have to have, trucking. It's a bulky, heavy item that needs an established distribution line in order to move it through the country efficiently. And that has not happened over the course of the last year, although it is starting to take place now. Now, in this article, you will also find the same thing that I was talking about as far as the shift from lumber coming from the Pacific Northwest, moving down to the southern part of the United States. And now there is still lots of logging taking place in the Pacific Northwest. This is where, the bulk of the logging takes place. In fact, I think Oregon is the #1 lumber producing state. But it's shifting down to the southern region because that's where the logs are. There is a lot of private timberland down there, and they do not have the same restrictions as far as trying to deal with cutting off of state lands. So there's a huge shift taking place there. Once that is established, we are going to see the prices come back to reality. Where they land, I don't know. If we see a new high, probably. We're probably going to, be somewhere up where studs used to cost, 2.5, and then they'll cost, 4 or something. Who knows where the price is going to be? I don't try to guess. It's just, it is going to be what it is. But to think these prices are going to continue to go up from here, I don't think so. I think we have probably reached a top. I could see where we may bounce around at 1,000, for a while, just because of how much has come out of the market already. Usually, you see kind of some price relief in the other direction when, you see a bunch of selling take place and there's a little bit of buying that happens for a while. So we may see something like that, but I think the return to something that would be reasonable, I think is in the future. Again, getting to that point is going to take some serious time. All the lumber in the distribution network right now, at all the lumber yards, all the in the pipeline at the mills, that's all very expensive lumber. And all that has to work its way through the system before you'll get to the cheaper lumber again. So that is going to be some time down the road. You will see the futures price drop dramatically, and people will be complaining about how people are gouging the prices because the lumber futures will be down, but all the retail will be up because everybody's trying to work through their inventory. It'll take time. But I also wanted to kind of give you guys an idea on how much prices have changed. Now, I like to look at 2x4/8 standard and better. It's like the most common piece of lumber that you're ever going to find out there in the lumber yard. And if you can imagine a unit of 2x4s, they're a lot bigger today than they used to be, but 10 years ago, they used to come in 208 piece units. Right? So there would be 16 rows high, 13 rows wide. Be 208 pieces, 200 pieces. Now, if you can imagine a unit of lumber or a unit of 2x4/8 at $3 and 50 cents a piece, $3 a piece. And that 208 pieces is going to cost somewhere around $600 for that unit of lumber. Well, if you take today's numbers, the $13.08, that same unit would cost $2,700. That's $600 a few years ago, $2,700 today. You think about it, like a unit of 2x4/8, 208 pieces. That's enough to do, like, you know, a small house. You know, all the interior walls of a average size, you know, house, single level house. That wouldn't be surprising to be a fair amount of studs for that house. And today, if you were to try and buy that unit, it would be $2,700, where before it was $600. Now, the amount that has come out of the market is the $600. The cost of that unit has already come out of the market. You guys hear what I'm saying? That is, like, for me to try and wrap my head around is very difficult. To think that this unit of lumber that used to cost $600 now costs $2,700. And the amount that has come out of the market in the last few weeks is the amount that I used to buy the entire unit for. That's how dramatic of a move this is. So, anyhow, I don't know how long this is going to take before we see that relief. Like I said, it's going to take some time out there. And I would only assume that we are going to see that bounce here before too long. But yeah, once we break 1,000, I think psychologically that was a level that people were convinced was going to never be achieved. And then once it did, it was on. All right. Uneducated Economist, you guys let me know.